I was going to do a little news roundup video today, and I always, before doing it, will search all the news, look at all the West Ham stories, all that sort of thing. And there's quite a bit of it out there. We're linked with a few players. There's some other stuff about players coming back from injury and whatnot. But basically, in terms of the transfers, if you've ever played alongside Gianluca Scamacca, you're linked with West Ham at the moment. We'll get into a few of those names tomorrow. But there was another story that was dominating the West Ham news, or whatever, the West Ham media, the West Ham internet, whatever you want to call it. It's Jesse Lingard. Why would Jesse Lingard be dominating West Ham stories? And when I say dominate, I mean there's 3 or 4 Jesse Lingard stories. Yeah, how about this for a headline, by the way? West Ham, MOYES dodged a bullet over £120,000 a week star at the London Stadium. Basically, I mean, we dodged a bullet on Jesse Lingard. So I'm going to have a little look into this in a little bit. So I want to discuss Jesse Lingard, and I'm going to discuss Saïd Benrahma in this video, and we'll do the sort of mishmash West Ham news tomorrow, if you don't mind. In terms of Lingard, I can't help... It's easy to gloat, I've got to say. It is easy. In fact, it's easy to gloat. It's harder not to. And I don't particularly want to gloat, but it does look as though he's made the wrong decision. But I do think there's a difference between him making the wrong decision and West Ham having dodged a bullet. Dodged a bullet means, oh my goodness, we would have been in trouble if we'd have got Jesse Lingard. Now, I do think Jesse Lingard was pivotal to David Moyes' plans, and here's why I think that. I think when we were looking at players like Onana, who is a high-energy, ball-winning, tackling, he's a ball of energy in the centre of the park. I think that's what David Moyes wanted. I think David Moyes wanted a partner for Declan Rice in the centre of midfield. I think Jesse Lingard meant that he got his number 10. He knew he wanted a number 10, but that meant he got the number 10 for free, right? I know he pays the wages, but you get what I mean. There was no transfer fee there, which allowed David Moyes to spend the big bulk, the big key mega signing was a central midfielder. The moment we didn't get Jesse Lingard for free, David Moyes now has to do something else. Okay, so he has to spend a little bit on Flynn Downs. He keeps Souček there. Flynn Downs is now back up, and actually the big bucks, the big money, is then going to go on the number 10, the attacking midfielder. We saw this with the links. We tried to buy Zielinski. We tried to buy a Nunes, who ended up at Wolves for a sort of, not a similar amount, I think, to what we were trying to buy Paqueta for. In the end, we went and got Paqueta. So I do think that in many respects Jesse Lingard was crucial to David Moyes' strategy. So I think in that sense, did we dodge a bullet? No, I think we would have got a player for free. I think in another respect, I think we did dodge a bullet. Because the more I look at it, he's gone for the short-term gain. We knew this when it happened, right? With Jesse Lingard, I'm talking about here. He's gone for the short-term gain, which is the 1-year contract. Look, you can either class it as no signing-on fee and 200 grand a week, or you can class it as a £5 million signing on fee plus 100 grand a week. Whatever it was, it's 10 million a season. Let's just call it that. We weren't prepared to pay him that. West Ham were prepared to pay him 23 million, as I understand it, over 3 seasons. The risk for Jesse Lingard is, right, okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to rock up here. I'm going to rock up at Nottingham Forest. I'm going to be the best player in the Premier League or one of them. And let's be fair, when he was at West Ham for 6 months, he was amongst the best players in the Premier League. There wasn't a lot of difference between his output. And I mean, in fact, he was out scoring and out assisting people like David Silva. He was one of the top guys. Let's just put it that way. And I think his idea was to rock up at Nottingham Forest and say, OK, I'm Billy Big Whatsits, I'm going to show I'm the best again. And basically next season, I'll sign on for 1 year. Then next season, I will then do this again. Well, he's not going to be able to. Unless there's some miraculous metamorphosis, he's not going to be able to do the same again. Because basically, Jesse's stock has dropped. Now, I argued this for some time. His stock was never higher than when he was at West Ham. That was it. That was the pinnacle, not of his career, because you'd have to say someone that's played on the world stage for England, that's the pinnacle of his career. But I'll tell you what, that was the pinnacle of his form. You know, I've said this many times. It was always going to be hard to achieve that, but I don't think he didn't have to. He didn't have to do that. I think he didn't have to score 9 goals in 6 months. Do you know what? If he'd have gone to Nottingham Forest and he scored 9 goals in the season and got 9 assists, his stock would still be relatively high. But it's not really happened that way. And it is easy to sort of laugh at him, and it is easy to mock him, which I'm not going to do that in this video, certainly. But I just think there's such a massive difference now, and I just wonder if Jesse himself didn't quite appreciate what was going on here and what was going on the first time he was at West Ham. Because the first time at West Ham, he had two massive motivations. And now all he's got is the motivation of money. There was no motivation of money at West Ham before because we were just paying his wages. He was getting the same money that he was getting at Man United. We just covered his wages. That was it. He had two major motivations. Number one, motivation was Gareth Southgate. Get into the England team. It was a hell of a rocket up his bum. One that he put there. A rocket up his bum that he put there himself. Forget that. Let's use a different analogy maybe. The other rocket was to get back into the Manchester United team, to show Manchester United what they were missing, show Manchester United that they needed Jesse Lingard. And I think in many respects, certainly the England one, well, it did work because he got into the squad and he started playing well. He became an option for Gareth Southgate. Ultimately, Southgate didn't use him, but he put himself in the shop window. For Man United, I think they decided at that point, you know what, we're going to get him back, we're going to give him another game. Actually, what they did was they said, Jesse, we want to offer you another contract. From that point of view, it was a success. What happened thereafter? Not quite so much. Before I go any further, this video is sponsored by the Spitch Fantasy Football app, which you can download by clicking that link below. Now, the Spitch Fantasy Football app is the next generation in fantasy football. Forget all this stuff where you accumulate your points week after week after week after week. No, it starts fresh each and every week. So it don't matter if your mate has won the last 8 weeks. It doesn't matter. As long as you win this week, that's the most important thing about the Spitch app. Now, the Spitch app, you can win prizes, big prizes. There's a free-to-play game where you can win up to, I think there's a £500 prize pool. But if you want to bet a little bit of money on Spitch, then what you can also do is get entered for the big prize pot, which is up to £70,000 each and every game week. Spitch covers Premier League, it covers Bundesliga. When international football is on, it covers all that stuff. We focus mainly on the Premier League, and as you'll know if you've been following these videos, myself and Gio are having a bit of a ding-dong. It's for free to me at the moment. We've also got a Hammers Chat Mini League, which you can join in with that. So do me a favour, download the link below, but only if you are 18 years and above, because it is a betting app. As always, do bet responsibly. So Lingard, I look at him now and I just see somebody who's failed. He's completely failed in his attempts. I was going to say to further his career. Maybe that's not it. Maybe Lingard just had no intention of furthering his career. Maybe it was just all about money. But I do look, he's taken a short-term gain. But when he looks to sign for someone next season, if the next part of the season, the rest of the season mirrors the start of it, which is Nottingham Forest stay. They don't have to be in the relegation zone, but they stay near the bottom of the table, and Lingard doesn't excel. There's no way on his next job that he is going to be able to command anywhere near the money. Forget 200 grand a week, you won't get 100 grand a week. Even on a free, he's just not going to get it. And I see a lot of people saying things like, that David Moyes, they're worried that David Moyes next season, when Lingard's on a free again, David Moyes will be back in for him. I don't think he will. I've got to admit, there's a bit of a hunch to that. I do think that maybe David Moyes might be a little bit burnt by it. David Moyes might feel a little bit let down, so he won't go back. That being said, I'm not sure about that. I'm just putting it out there. I'm not sure that's in David Moyes' character. If that was a character trait of David Moyes, he wouldn't have come back to West Ham for the second time, because he would have felt, he certainly would have felt that his managerial ability had been called into question by David Sullivan getting rid of him the first time. So I think he has the ability to forgive that sort of thing. That being said, I just purely from pragmatism, David Moyes might well look at Jesse Lingard and just think he's just not good enough anymore. And it does make you wonder, from what I was saying a minute ago, that motivation of trying to get into the England squad, that made him the player he was. That motivation of trying to prove to his boyhood club, Manchester United, who he loved, that he was one of the main men and should be one of the main guys, that was hugely important for him. And you take that away and you really don't have the same player. And I actually think when he signed for Nottingham Forest, that Jesse Lingard went into that contract knowing that if he signed for Nottingham Forest, there was no chance of going back to England. That basically he wasn't going to get selected. People will tell you different, but there was just never any way. Now, I know West Ham have not done well this season so far. Oh, we're climbing up a little bit. But you've got to look at it at the point where Jesse Lingard was making that decision, whether to go to West Ham or not. At that point, we hadn't kicked a ball. We'd qualified for Europe again. I think most people who followed football would probably say West Ham will finish in the top 8. We clearly had a big budget to spend, so he would have been briefed on that. If what Jesse Lingard wanted to do was get back into that England team, it was signed for West Ham. That's what he should have done. But he didn't want to. He had a little flirt. I mean, he even went over and checked things out in America. It was clearly the decision was based on money. By that point, the England, in his own mind, the decision to play for England had gone. So then it just comes down to, well, what is it? Well, it's a decision for money. You hear this back, oh, no, I'm signing for Nottingham Forest for the project. I discount it. I didn't believe it at all. And the reason being, if you're going to sign into a project, you sign into the long-term project. I'll tell you who have signed into a long-term project. It's Nottingham Forest themselves, because they've just offered their manager a new contract. Even though he's struggling, even though he's not doing well, what they're saying, I don't know what the contract is, 3-4 years, but they're very much saying to him, see out the job, finish the job. Continue the evolution of Nottingham Forest. You've got us promoted. We've signed lots of new players. We want you to carry on. Because the project is not something that only lasts for 11 months or whatever, or however long's left in the season, 8 months left or whatever the case may be. Actually, the project is a long-term vision. It's a long-term strategy for the club. Jesse Lingard hasn't bought into that project. He hasn't. That's just what you were told. That's the press release. That's the PR stuff. I'm not going to Nottingham Forest for the money. I'm going for the project. Nonsense. He would have signed for 3 or 4 years. He would have done. And, by the way, he could have done that at Nottingham Forest. Now, granted, he would have had to do a drop-down salary if Nottingham Forest had got relegated. But that's fine, right? That's fine. If you are honestly invested in signing for a club for the project, you would go there and say, look, give me £100 a week, whatever, give me £200 a week for the first season. If we drop down to the Championship, I'll take 30 and I'll get you back promoted. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. Because I'm here for the project. I'm not here for anything else. I'm not here for Jesse Lingard. I'm here for the project. But he's not. He's there for the money, and that's fine as well. By the way, that is fine as well. You are allowed to go and work for somebody who pays the highest wages. That's fine. But I just feel that it's basically, he may well prove it wrong. I'm not saying Jesse Lingard's not going to have any form between now and the end of his career, but you've seen the best. The best of Jesse Lingard has already been and gone. We actually saw it at West Ham. And I look at it now, I mean, look, Moyes dodged a bullet, did we? Yes, I actually think we did. Because here's the point, really, looking at, I mean, there are a load of articles here. Forest star regrets not joining West Ham United in the summer. I doubt he'd have said that. West Ham United, 80k a week star will regret not making switch to London Stadium. That's given me sport. Caught offside. The Independent. There's a lot of articles going around about Jesse Lingard here. And here's the point. Here's why I think we probably dodged a bullet. Everything that I said about Jesse Lingard no longer being motivated because he can't play for Manchester United anymore, no longer being motivated, or really having a desire to get back into the England squad. It might be desire, it might be belief. All of that is totally applicable to if he'd signed for West Ham. Because if he'd signed for West Ham, he would have. I think he would have been encountering the same sort of form. I think we still would have started the season relatively poorly, and there's no way, it would have been difficult for him, there's no way he could have matched his form of the last time he was here. Why? Well, because he's lacking the two major parts of his motivation. I think he's given up on playing for England. He'd tell you different, by the way. He would tell you different, but sometimes actions speak louder than words. And him signing for Forest, he's given up on playing for England. He's played for Manchester United. It's done. In that sense, he's ticked a box for his career, hasn't he? He's played for the club that he supports, the club he loves. Played alongside Ronaldo. That's something he really wanted to do, apparently. Great, good for him. But that motivation's not there anymore. That's done. So I think now you see somebody, and he should be... He's not got a lot of miles on the clock. He should be doing an awful lot more now. But however, just back to the question that the article posed at the start of it, have West Ham dodged a bullet by not signing Jesse Lingard? I got to say, For £23 million on a 3-year deal? I think we probably have.